Hello everyone, CM Freeze here. Today, I just wanted to make a quick little video for you guys, just get some football content out there. And as you can see by the title, this video will be going over the 3 teams that I think are the most underrated teams in the NFL. Now, the main metric I'm using to determine this is the team's projected win-loss total. As you can see here, every single team with BetMGM or any sportsbook has a projected win-loss total. And I basically just looked at all of them and determined which teams do I think are going to crush their win-loss total and be projected to win much more games than their win-loss total. But I'm also going based off just general perception as well. There are some teams that I feel like just aren't really getting talked about, or people just haven't even considered them to make the playoffs at all. And so these are the teams that I personally believe are the most underrated teams in the NFL. Now, I don't think any of these teams are actually going to win the Super Bowl, but I think that they're going to be a lot better than their projected win-loss rating, and all of them do have a shot at making the playoffs. Now, I want to start off strong, because the main reason I actually am making this video, or one of the main reasons, is because there is a team that I truly believe is very underrated. And if their quarterback can take the second step in year 2, I think this team could make the playoffs and crush their 6.5 win-loss total, and that is the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans this offseason have made a lot of moves, and I haven't really seen anybody talk about the Titans at all. Offensively, the Titans got much better. The Titans had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last. They went and signed Lloyd Cushenberry from Denver, an upgrade at their current center because they had one of the worst centers in the NFL last year. And with the 7th overall pick, they went and they got J.C. Latham out of Alabama, a tackle who is instantly going to start and instantly be an upgrade. If you look at the Titans' left side of their offensive line with Cushenberry, Peter Skoronski, who they drafted in the first round last year, and now J.C. Latham, that offensive line on the left side is stacked. Yes, you would like to still upgrade at right side. You could use an upgrade at right tackle, but they got one tackle position out of the way. Already a big upgrade for them. Offensively, too, they brought in both Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd. Calvin Ridley was one of the best wide receivers in the NFL last year. He was the Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver 1, and now he's getting to go to a team where he's playing alongside DeAndre Hopkins. The Titans have 2 wide receiver 1s at their disposal, not to mention Tyler Boyd, a really good slot wide receiver. And another thing I really like about the Tennessee Titans is their head coach they brought in, Brian Callahan. Now, yes, letting go of Mike Vrabel was definitely very interesting. Mike Vrabel was not the issue there in Tennessee. But I see what direction they were trying to go. Mike Vrabel was a very defensive-minded, very Vrabel football kind of guy, just so unique how to describe it. Mike Vrabel liked to be in these close games where he would tire you out, beat you up, and win at the end. And they went and signed the Bengals offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan. I think his last name's Callahan. It's either Callahan or Calhoun, but I think it's Callahan. Brian Callahan. And you've seen what he's done with the Cincinnati Bengals last year. He's elevated Joe Burrow and gotten the most out of him. And hell, he's even helped take his team to a Super Bowl. And helped take the Bengals to a AFC Championship loss against the Chiefs as well. That Bengals offense has been on fire when everyone's been healthy, and that is why I have high hopes for Will Levis as well. We have seen what Brian Callahan can do when training Joe Burrow. Let's see if he can help Will Levis as well. The offense is set. Now, yes, like I said, you would like to see some upgrades on the right side of the line. Maybe you could upgrade at tight end and running back, but tight end and running back are good enough, I would say. I mean, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears is a good 1-2 punch there in Tennessee. If Will Levis takes a step up in year 2, and Will Levis showed flashes, cannon arm, really good with his legs, he just needs to improve that accuracy. That accuracy was the biggest issue with Will Levis, but in there are some games he showed that accuracy and he showed flashes, especially against the Dolphins and against the Falcons. He looked like a baller. And like I said, elite arm. He's got the traits. He's got the physical tools. He just needs to fundamentally get it together. And that's why I have high hopes for Will Levis. Because all these things that you can't teach, he has. His issues are teachable and coachable issues. Also, sorry if you hear my dogs in the background. They're killing me right now. I'm trying to make a YouTube video. Come on, Rip. The Tennessee Titans defensively, now I would say they got better defensively, but not that much better. Their big signing, or trade, I should say, is they did trade a second-round pick for Ladarius Shaneed, one of the best corners in the league, and then gave him a big contract extension as well. That secondary is sneaky good there in Tennessee. They have a number one corner in Ladarius Shaneed. They have Chidi Awuzie, who's a good corner. Roger McGreary, who's a good nickel corner for him. They got some good safeties there. That secondary is pretty good. Also, not to mention that their front five, because they run a 3-4 defensive scheme, is also pretty damn solid. Jeffrey Simmons, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Harold Landry, who's a solid pass rusher. Not the best, but solid. They drafted Sweat in the second round, who... we'll see how that goes. I think being able to play next to Jeffrey Simmons will just elevate him because of how much attention will be on Jeffrey Simmons. He'll get a lot of one-on-one reps. We'll see how that works out. But how I'm looking at it is the Tennessee Titans have an average defense with an above-average offense, barring Will Levis takes a step. If Will Levis plays how he did in the first year, where there's games where he shows flashes, but then games where he sucks, the Titans will probably be at that 6 to 7 range, but I'm doing this with the projection that Will Levis will take a leap in Big 2, not a massive leap, but a sizable leap, which will make that offense above average and that defense average defense. So, I mean, statistically, you have an average defense with an above average offense. That's about a 9-8 season right there. Now, unfortunately for the Titans, they do have one of the hardest schedules in football. I think they have the 6th hardest schedule. Part of that is because of their division. They have to play the Texans twice, the Jaguars twice, and the Colts twice. But I can see the Titans going 2-4, maybe even 3-3 in their division. Texans are going to be tough to beat, very tough to beat. But the Titans always seem to play well against the Jaguars. Don't know why, they just play the Jaguars very well. And I could see them splitting with the Colts. I arguably see them probably going 0-2 against the Texans, and then 1-1 against the Colts, 1-1 against the Jags, maybe 2-0 against the Jags. We'll see. It's now a new team, I should say. They don't have Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry would rush for 200 yards every single time they play Jacksonville and just beat the crap out of them. But if we're looking at their schedule, having 4 games and then having a bye is tough, but I can honestly see them going 2-2. At Bears, home against Jets, home against Packers, at Dolphins. At Bears week 1, that's Caleb Williams' first game. Who knows how he's going to mesh in that Bears offense? The Bears could be all over the place. Who really knows what's going to happen in week 1 with Caleb Williams' first game as a Bear? Then home against the Jets? Who knows how good that Jets offense is going to be? Home against Packers, that's probably a loss. And then at Dolphins, you might think to yourself, oh, this is an easy loss. That's when I say, let's go back to last season when the Tennessee Titans went to Miami. And with under 4 minutes left, we're down 27-13 and won that game 28-27 in one of Will Levis's best games. Teams just sometimes have certain teams' number, and I'm sure the Miami Dolphins are going to remember that game and want to get revenge, which means that they have a lot more to lose than the Titans do. The Titans could just be coming out saying, hey, we got a bye next week. Let's go all out. We have nothing to lose, and could upset the Dolphins again. I truly think the Titans could go 2-2 here to start their schedule. Then after that, like I said, it's tough. Home against the Colts, they could maybe win after a bye, but then at Buffalo, that's a loss. At Detroit, that's a loss. Home against the Patriots, at Chargers, home against the Vikings. I think they win 2 out of 3 of those games. So if we're doing math here, 2-2, 3-2, 3-4. I got them at 5-5. At Texans, they're getting smoked. But then at Commanders, I think they can win that game. So we're putting them at 6-6. And then their last 5 games, they go 2-3 in these 5 games to put them at 8-9. I think the Tennessee Titans are an 8-9 team, and that's me putting them at 2-4 in their division. That's me saying that they're going to go 2-4 in their division as well. So they could even go 9-8 if they go 3-3 in their division, which obviously their over under for wins is 6.5. I'm saying that the Titans could be either 1.5 or 2.5 wins over their projected win-loss total. Like I said, a lot of it's on Will Levis, but Brian Calhoun is a guy that I trust to develop Will Levis. The Titans have given Will Levis a better offensive line. They have given him better weapons. They're trying to help him out in the run game by bringing in Tony Pollard. They're giving Will Levis tools. If Will Levis can't develop, maybe the right side of his offensive line will just absolutely cook him alive. But like I said, Brian Callahan's had to deal with Joe Burrow and the shitty Bengals offensive line. So if there truly was anyone to develop Will Levis, I think Brian Callahan might be one of the top 3 best guys to do that. Now, the Titans were my true underdog team, my true sleeper team. Not to make it to the Super Bowl, but to do a lot better than I think teams will and people will give them credit for. The next team I'm going to say, as much as it pains me to do this, has to be the New Orleans Saints, who only have a projected win total of 7.5 games. The Saints offensively are basically the same exact team. They're pretty much the same team. They lost Michael Thomas, but he wasn't doing shit anyways. On the offensive line, they got Tuis Fuaga, 14th overall. That's an upgrade. That's really the only thing that's happening for the Saints. Their entire offensive line's coming back. The only thing that's different now is they got an upgrade at left tackle, a much-needed upgrade at left tackle. Their entire offense is basically the same. Kamara's back. Carr's back. Juwan Jennings is back. They still have, who's that white guy at tight end? Taysom Hill. They still have Taysom Hill. Their offense is basically the same. Like I said, they just got Tuis Fuaga in the first round, which is an upgrade. So you can say that their offense did upgrade. They also fired their offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael. I know the Saints absolutely hated him. So that's also probably an upgraded offense as well. So they got a better offense than last year. Not much, but better. And then defensively, they also upgraded here as well, but not much. They got Chase Young in free agency, one of the better edge rushers. So they did get a upgrade at edge rusher. Ryan Brees, who they drafted in the first round last year, will also now be getting more reps and will be going into his second year of development. The Saints also in the draft got Kool-Aid McKinstry, who I think could develop to be a really good corner for him. I think he could be a great 1-2-3 punch with Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, and Kool-Aid McKinstry. That can be one of the best corner trios in the league if Kool-Aid McKinstry does properly develop. And they also have the Honey Badger as well. Basically what I'm saying is the Saints last season went 9-8 and they didn't get worse. Now, they didn't get that much better. The only big signings, the only big free agency signing that they even got was Chase Young, which is an upgrade at what they had. And in the draft, they got Tuis Fuaga and Kool-Aid McKinstry, both who can be helps. Tuis Fuaga immediately, Kool-Aid McKinstry will develop a little bit and find a role. But the Saints are basically the same exact team that they were last year, except they got a couple of upgrades at positions, which makes me say, like I said, they went 9-8 last year, but they're only projected 7.5 wins this year. I truly think that a lot of people have just kind of penciled in the Atlanta Falcons to win the NFC South, and that is not true at all. The Bucs and the Saints could very easily win the NFC South. If you remember last year, the Falcons were also projected to win the NFC South last year, and they didn't. They did not. So the Saints could easily win the NFC South here. Now, if you're looking at the Saints, brutal beginning of the season here, just absolutely brutal. At Panthers week 1, easy win, but then at Cowboys, home against the Eagles, at Falcons, at Chiefs, home against the Bucs. Their next 5 games are brutal. The Saints could easily go 1-4 in this stretch. At Chiefs, they're not winning that. At Cowboys, they're not winning that. Home against the Eagles, probably not winning that. I guess we'll have to see. At Falcons, they could win. Home against the Bucs, they could win. For the sake of this video, I'll say the Saints go 2-3. I think the Saints will go 4-2 in their division. So if I gave them the win against the Panthers, I will give them the win at home against the Bucs. I'll have them losing to the Falcons at Falcons. And then the Saints could honestly go 1-4 in this stretch. I'm being dead serious right now, and I'm talking about how good they are. Their schedule gets so much easier after this, though. You know what? I actually am going to say the Saints are going to go 1-5 or 1-4 in this stretch. So I'm going to have them beat the Panthers, but then lose 4 straight. Lose to the Cowboys, lose to the Eagles, lose to the Falcons, lose to the Chiefs. But then I'm going to have them winning out. Beat the Buccaneers, beat the Broncos, beat the Chargers, beat the Panthers, beat the Falcons. The Browns is a toss-up, and the Browns are the toss-up, and the Rams are a toss-up. I'm going to have them split there. So right now we're having the Saints go. So right now I got the Saints at 7-5 going. They're at 7-5. At Giants, at Commanders, at Packers, home against the Raiders, at Bucks. I think they go 3-2 to end the season. That puts them at 10-7. I think the Saints could easily go 10-7. They have an easy schedule. Besides this stretch here of week 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, after that, cupcake schedule. Their hardest game will be at Green Bay, which I did say they'll lose. At Green Bay, the 23rd, Monday Night Football. That's going to be tough because that could be a snow game. Saints could just be absolutely screwed that game. But I think the Saints go 10-7. I truly do, which is 2.5 games better than their projected win-loss total. The Saints have an easy schedule, and they have a better team than they did last year when they went 9-8. Now also Derek Carr has a year with the Saints as well. I think the Saints are going to be good. As much as I hate to say it, I think the Saints will be 9-8, 10-7. The final team that I want to talk about, who also has a win-loss total of 7.5 games, is the Seattle Seahawks. Going over the Seattle Seahawks roster, just like the Saints, basically have the same exact offense, except they got some upgrades on the offensive line. They got Christian Hayes in the 3rd round in the draft, who can instantly start for them at right guard. Basically, actually, literally the same exact thing as the Saints, where their offense is legit the same, except they drafted a rookie to be on their offensive line. But the Seahawks offense, I like the Seahawks offense. Geno Smith is decent, and if Geno Smith doesn't do well, they traded for Sam Howell. Kenneth Walker's coming back from injury. He's a beast. So is Zach Charbonnet. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and JSN, one of the best wide receiver trios in the NFL. Their offensive line's damn good. Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross are really good left tackle, right tackle. Tomlinson is a good left guard as well. The interior of the offensive line could be better. The Seattle Seahawks offensive line could be better, but I'm pretty sure last year they had a top 10 offensive line, if I'm not mistaken. They also got rid of longtime head coach Pete Carroll and replaced him with Mike Macdonald. Love the signing. He was the Baltimore Ravens defensive head coach. Great signing for him, will instantly boost their defense because the Seahawks offense has not been the problem. It's been the defense. And while defensively, the Seattle Seahawks only made a few upgrades this offseason, I think just getting Mike Macdonald in the room to be your new leader of the defense instantly makes your defense better. And they re-signed Leonard Williams, who's a beast for them. They drafted Byron Murphy in the 1st round, who I loved the fit to him to Seattle. I think that's the best team he could have gone to. I think he will cook and eat there in Seattle. Absolutely love it. They got Boye Mafe, who they can continue to develop off the edge of the offensive line. Linebacker is tough. That linebacker room is a little tough. Jerome Baker, I'm going to be honest, don't even know who Tyrell Dodson. Oh, I know who Tyrell Dodson is, but no way his ass is that good. Secondary, we'll have to see on the secondary. The secondary is up in the air because last season, Devin Witherspoon played like a beast, but Tyreek Woolen started the season really strong, got absolutely torched at the end of the season. So we'll have to see. This Seattle Seahawks defensive line didn't get worse, but didn't get much better. Again, just like the Saints, they kind of brought in a couple of rookies, a few free agents. Basically the same exact situation as the Saints last year, where their team didn't get worse and they only got a little bit better. However, the Seattle Seahawks last year, I think they were either 8-9 or 9-8. Regardless, did better than their 7.5 win season. They now have upgraded their defense, upgraded their offensive line. Seattle Seahawks will now have a better head coach. Pete Carroll, I think his time was done. Prime Pete Carroll is obviously bodies Macdonald. And Macdonald could also suck as well. But just, this is the change that the Seahawks needed to go into. And Pete Carroll's also still there as a advisor or whatever. And also looking at the Seahawks schedule, they also have a favorable schedule. I think they have strength of schedule 15, so they basically have a very average strength of schedule. But they're starting off home against the Broncos, win. At Patriots, win. Home against the Dolphins, that's going to be a really damn good game. They could maybe win that. At Detroit's definitely a loss, though. They'll beat the Giants, definitely lose to the 49ers, probably lose to the Falcons. They could beat the Bills. They could beat the Rams. Now, I don't think they will. Looking at this schedule, definitely beat the Broncos, definitely beat the Patriots. We'll have them beat the Dolphins, but then lose to the Lions, beat the Giants, lose to the 49ers, lose to the Falcons, and then split with the Bills and the Rams. So they're 5-4 right now. Come off a bye at 49ers, that's a loss, 5-5. But then they could easily go 3-0 here. Cardinals, Jets, Cardinals. I'll have them go 2-1 though here, so they're 7-6. And then we'll have them go 2-2 to end the season. So that's 9-8. Now the Seahawks are 9-8, which again could sneak in as a wildcard team. If they win one more game than I've projected them to win, they could go 10-7 and definitely be a wildcard team. So again, just like the Saints, a team with a 7-5 record, who upgraded just a little bit, who have a favorable schedule that I think can get them 9 to 10 wins and can sneak them into a wildcard spot. So maybe not the most a powered team in the league, but I'm doing underrated teams that are projected to have a losing record that I think can have a winning record and make it into the playoffs. That's my video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This video probably went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but I just like going in depth. I like talking about football. Sue me. If you watch this video, I really appreciate it, man. Leave comments down below. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you agree with, disagree with. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.